Welcome to this week's episode of The Perceptive Readers, a podcast series made in the Product of Culture, aka PocBooks website's office. Hi, I'm James. They mentioned 5 of them, but I'm going to share a little bit more about it. Hi, I'm James Lynch, and welcome to this PocBooks update moment as we continue with the story or the subject and topic of the lion, the leader, and the sage. At the beginning of this podcast, I mentioned they talk about it's 5 of them. 5 of what? Well, 5 levels of leadership. Now, they have been broken down in a variety of books, and they can tell you specifically what happens on each level. What I'm going to do is actually comprise into really one sentence what it entails, where it ends up. Are you ready? Basically, to go from level 1 leadership to level 5 leadership, it is basically starting to have people to do things, not because they are made and commanded to do it, but because they truly want to do it from the heart. That's what level 5 leadership does. Of course, you will actually experience and encourage persons even before that, point to actually get things done, production accomplished, and persons being able to even feel good about themselves. But there is something that happens on the level 5 level that it is like, if you really want to say, it is now the main focus and psyche of that leader, it would be one word that could describe it, even though some may find it hard to believe, but it is all the same. Do you know what that one word is? It's 4 letters. It starts with an L. You got it. It's love. Now, I told you I was going to expound upon it a little bit more because I told you also that there have been many books written on leadership and the 5 levels, the position that you're in, because, sometimes persons will even get into a supervisory position for the first time, and that's where they're making probably some of their most mistakes at, and yet what? People listen, they obey because they have to, right? It's not necessarily because the supervisor actually did things just so or had laid out, the requirement of exactly just what needed to be done. And so the workers might have just stumbled around or what have you to help themselves to get the task done. However, again, with all the levels of leadership, and especially by level 5, you have a very seasoned person. Not only seasoned, but remember what I told you, their main motivation would be a love for the people. You could probably think about certain names throughout history, even in the recent 20th century. I could mention several names. I can also go way, way, way back, centuries, and talk about it on a spiritual level. Because if you ask somebody, who do you consider a level 5 leader? Some persons will even mention professionals who own their companies, even in corporate America. You also have persons who will mention spiritual leaders, not only in the Western lands, but also in the Eastern lands, you see. So persons have an ideal sayings and teachings and observations of persons that they considered were on level 5 leadership. With that being said, did you know that there are actually requirements even mentioned in the good book? And these requirements were shown. They were even epitomized by what some people would say was the greatest man who ever lived. Do you know who that was? Well, he has 5 letters in his name, and it starts with a J. Yes, the greatest man who ever lived was Jesus. He was what we would consider also a level 5 leader. And then he made sure before he left the earth, he ended up doing what? Putting all of his level 5 teachings. And yes, the good book even has level 5 requirements that a lot of people weren't unfamiliar with. If you just happen to look in the book of Timothy, you see. Also, look in the book of Titus in the good book, and you will see what I'm talking about, that persons who would measure up to these, to a fine degree, some persons say reasonable, I like to say a fine degree, it has the qualities of a level 5 leader. Isn't that interesting? And then on top of that, with it being, such a lofty challenge and development process, all the same, this is what the greatest man who ever lived wanted for his level 5 organization. Isn't that something? So, with all these thoughts in mind, as I said before, you can actually look up the 5 levels of leadership or what different persons go through. But be assured, just to show you again the high quality of what is even in the good book, it has a description of the level 5 leadership. Yes, right in the books of Timothy, and if you happen to look in Titus as well, you get some extra information on that. So I hope you enjoy this, and I look forward to concluding this topic, this subject on the lion, the leader, and the sage in the future. You have a wonderful, wonderful day.